not actually connected to the rest of Kentucky.
Why
Kentucky
do
was the
they
birthplace
do
of
this?
Lincoln, who was
Hey guys, it's the Loud Guys. Today we are going to react to every state in the United States. And United States has about 50 states, and like we saw the last video in which we saw like the don'ts of visiting the United States of America. So he listed out a lot of things like how there are 50 states United States and not 52 states, and also like each and every state has a different culture and things to visit to. So I think so in this video we will get to know more and more about it, because it is about every state in USA. Like India also, there are 28 states, and you can visit each and every state and you will feel you are went to a different country altogether. And India, there is a very good saying that if you go 100 kilometers away from the place that you are in, you will find a different language, a different culture to what you were there for. So that is the kind of differences you find in India. So I'm very excited to see what are the differences in the states of United States.
Yes, even we have seen that even US has a lot of different cultures, a lot of different religions. In the previous video, we have seen that you'll get to see a lot of different things and different type of people over there, and you get to meet and know new cultures. So. And obviously there are 50 states, so I believe that this video has to offer 50 facts about every state. So let's watch that what is there in this video and what 50 states has their specialty.
Yes, and also if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. So let's watch this video. Let's start.
This is Every State in the US by Wendover Productions and made possible by the great Courses Plus. We'll start with Alabama, the first state alphabetically. Magnolia Springs, Alabama is the only town in America to have their mail delivered by boat, although the longest mail delivery route in America is in rural Oklahoma, where delivery drivers have to drive 187.6 miles each day to deliver the mail to around 200 houses.
Whoa.
Oklahoma's state vegetable is the watermelon, which happens to be a fruit, and Oklahoma is also home to Kansas, the town. The real Kansas, or more specifically this point, is the geographic center of the contiguous United States. What Kansas is not home to is Kansas City, which counterintuitively is in Missouri, where the population center of the US is.
What?
The average location of every American. Missouri borders 8 states, and is therefore tied with Tennessee as the state that borders the most other states. Tennessee was a southern state that seceded from the United States and joined the Confederacy, except for Scott County, which seceded from Tennessee and formed the unrecognized independent state. Scott County didn't actually officially rejoin Tennessee until 1986. Tennessee's western border was originally defined by the course of the Mississippi River, which has since changed course, which has led to all these enclaves and exclaves of the two states on the two sides of the river. The Arkansas River, a major tributary of the Mississippi, begins all the way in Colorado, where nobody's entirely sure which mountain is the tallest, Mount Elbert or Mount Massive, since their heights are within 10 feet of each other, and people keep building piles of rocks on the summits to make one mountain taller than the other.
Oh my
Colorado
god.
is also home to America's longest
American
continuous street, Colfax Avenue in Denver, at 26 miles long. But the shortest individually named street in America is reportedly McKinley Street in Bellefontaine, Ohio, at a mere 28 feet long. Ohio's northernmost point is actually north of Canada's southernmost point, Pelee Island. Pelee Island, Canada, in fact, is farther south than parts of 27 states, including California, which as a state has a higher population than the entire country of Canada. Los Angeles, California, despite being on the Pacific Ocean, is east of 6 state capitals, including Nevada's. Nevada has the point in the entire United States where you're farthest from a McDonald's, only 116 miles. Although Nevada is not the state with the fewest McDonald's. That title goes to the state with 29 McDonald's, North Dakota, which according to some legal experts
So like they're
wasn't
comparing
technically a
state
state
according to their
until
McDonald's they have.
2012, since their constitution was missing this sentence, which meant it didn't fulfill the federal requirement for statehood. Despite having the fewest McDonald's, North Dakota is not America's least populated state. That's Wyoming, which has 2 sets of escalators in the entire state. Wyoming
Only
is
2.
well known for hosting Yellowstone National Park, although a bit of it spills over into Idaho, though in this section you can get away with murder. You see, with the 6th Amendment, if you're placed on trial, it's required that you are judged by a jury of your peers, which means individuals from the same state and federal district as where the crime was committed. Yellowstone is its own federal district, meaning you need residents from Yellowstone to be on the jury. Although if you were in the Idaho part, you need Yellowstone residents from Idaho to be on the jury. Except this 50 square mile section is entirely uninhabited, so they wouldn't be able to form a jury, which means you'd walk free. There's also one single road connecting the entire southern section of Idaho to the northern section. Idaho, with its fairly low population, has one single telephone area code for the whole state, just like neighboring Montana. Montana is home to the least busy commercial airport in the US, Dawson Community Airport, at 4,000 passengers per year, or about 11 per day. The busiest airport in America is Atlanta's, at 49 million passengers per year, or 135,000 per day. Peachtree, a suburb of Atlanta, is a community that has 90 miles of golf cart specific roads adjacent to its normal roads, since 9,000 families here have golf carts as their second cars.
So they have made
Kids are even encouraged to drive to
proper route
school
for
from
that.
the age of 12 in their golf carts.
Wow.
Georgia, or more specifically Springer Mountain, Georgia, is the start to the 2,200-mile-long Appalachian Trail, which is a hiking trail that terminates all the way up at Mount Katahdin, Maine. Maine is the only state in
You like
America
hiking
to
around
only
here?
border one
Let's
other
go.
state, and it's also the closest state to Africa. Seriously, it's closer than Florida. The second closest state to Africa is Massachusetts, or more specifically Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which is technically an island, since a man-made canal separates it from the mainland. Massachusetts is actually farther from Miami than Panama City is. And Miami is closer to the country capitals of Nassau, Bahama, and Havana, Cuba than its own state capital, Tallahassee. Florida has the lowest highest point of any state, 312 feet, 23 times lower than South Dakota's highest point. South Dakota is home to the geographic center of the entire United States,
So much
if you
different
include
to each
Alaska
other.
and Hawaii, and it was made a state a mere 9 days before Washington, which was called Columbia before it became a state. Its name was changed as to not confuse it with the District of Columbia, but obviously that didn't work out, since DC City ended up being called Washington. Washington Place is the official residence of Hawaii's governor, and Hawaii was given its own unique currency during World War II that was its only legal tender, so that, in case the Japanese successfully invaded Hawaii, the federal government could declare all of Hawaii's currency worthless to prevent the Japanese from using it.
So
The closest
smart.
state to Hawaii is Alaska, whose capital, Juneau, has no roads connecting it with the rest of Alaska or North America, meaning you can't drive in or out. Alaska is also one of the 4 states that completely bans outdoor billboards, along with Hawaii, Maine, and Vermont,
Outdoor
whose tallest
billboards?
building is only 11 stories tall. That's the shortest, tallest building of any state. The
Wow.
tallest building in the states is Freedom Tower in New York. New York is home to Ellis Island, or at least part of it. Their territory is completely surrounded by New Jersey, similar to Liberty Island, home to the Statue of Liberty, which is completely surrounded by New Jersey waters, which means you need to travel through New Jersey to get from New York to New York.
New York.
Clinton Road in West Milford, New Jersey has America's longest red light, a full 5-minute wait. New Jersey actually goes surprisingly
5-minute
far
red
south,
light.
farther south than Kentucky's northernmost point. In its southwest corner, Kentucky has a rather large piece of territory that's not actually connected to the rest of Kentucky.
Why
Kentucky
do
was the
they
birthplace of
do this?
Lincoln, who was later elected to the Illinois House of Representatives, and in Illinois is the original Burger King. But it's not the Burger King you're thinking of. This Burger King existed before this Burger King, and therefore sued Burger King when they came to Illinois for trademark infringement and won. So now no Burger King is allowed to operate within a 20-mile radius of this original Burger King.
Wow.
Chicago, Illinois,
This is interesting.
America's 3rd largest city, is just a tad bit larger than the 4th largest city, Houston, Texas. And Texas is so enormous that El Paso, Texas is closer to Los Angeles than it is to Houston, Texas. Texas's northernmost point is also closer to Michigan than it is to its southernmost point. From Detroit, Michigan, you actually end up in Canada if you travel due south. And Michigan is the only state to be made of 2 entirely separated sections. Michigan's Highway 185 is actually a bike path, making it the only official highway in America where cars are banned. Michigan's Upper Peninsula is also only connected by land to Wisconsin, which is home to the Green Bay Packers, a team so popular that the waiting list for season tickets is 30 years long. It's so long that it's common for parents to put their kid's name on the list as soon as they're born.
What?
In Watertown, Wisconsin is Utah Street, but the real Utah has the longest section of interstate in the US with no gas stations. 106 miles on
Well,
I-70.
70 kilometers with no
I-70
petrol
ends
pumps.
over 2,000 miles away in Baltimore, Maryland, and the entire state of Maryland has 0 natural lakes. It also has this panhandle that reaches a minimum width of 1.8 miles before expanding back out to 30 miles width out near West Virginia, which is definitively a southern state, but also has this panhandle that reaches as far north as New York City and Nebraska. Minowi, Nebraska is the only incorporated municipality in the United States that has a population of 1. The one resident, Elsie Eiler, is mayor and runs the library and tavern, which is granted a liquor license every
Like
year
there is only
by
one
Elsie
person,
herself.
so he's only the
Tortilla
mayor.
Flat, Arizona is 6 times larger than Minoe since it has 6 residents, and Arizona also has 1/4 of the Four Corners Monument, the only point where 4 states meet in the US. Arizona, Utah, Colorado, and New Mexico, which as a state, by law, still recognizes Pluto as a planet. New Mexico is typically the last state to vote in presidential primaries, whereas Iowa is usually the first. Iowa is the only state in the US whose eastern and western borders are both water, in this case rivers. The eastern border is the Mississippi River, which happens to be the namesake for Mississippi. The Mississippi River also flowed backwards for a full 24 hours in 2012, but the Mississippi doesn't actually reach the ocean in Mississippi. It does so in Louisiana, home to the longest bridge over water in the world at 24 miles. That's so long that for 8 of those miles, you can't even see land on either side. One of the
Oh
other
my
longest bridges in the US is in North Carolina, the Virginia Dare Memorial Bridge, which carries cars out to Kitty Hawk, where the Wright brothers successfully flew a heavier-than-air aircraft for the first time in history. It was a 12-second, 120-foot flight. That's shorter than the wingspan of a Boeing 747. North Carolina's southern neighbor is South Carolina, although South Carolina isn't all that south, since more than half of it is north of North Carolina's southernmost point, and South Carolina also has a town called North, making it North South Carolina. South Carolina was the site of the first Civil War battle, and the Civil War ended up having a total of 1 battle over in Indiana, where the Indy 500 Speedway is, which is so enormous that you could comfortably fit the entire country of the Vatican inside it. It can also fit 400,000 people, which is the highest capacity of any sports arena in the world.
4 lakhs.
Indiana's state beverage is water, while Oregon's is milk. Portland, Oregon is also home to the world's smallest park, according to the Guinness World Records book, Mill
This
End
is a
Park.
park?
This is not a
Oregon is also
park.
one of the few states to not have a
I
sales
have this
tax,
in my,
along with New Hampshire,
like,
the
house
only
too.
state to have no law requiring adults to wear seatbelts. Connecticut Lake in New Hampshire is the source of the Connecticut River, which is what Connecticut, the state, is named after. Hartford, Connecticut's airport, at less than 3 million passengers per year, is the smallest airport in the US to have a direct flight to Europe. Delaware, on the other hand, certainly doesn't have a direct flight to Europe since it's the only state that you can't fly to. There's not one commercial flight in or out of this tiny state.
What?
It's
In
the
USA?
second smallest state behind Rhode Island, which is so small that the entire state grows by 3% during low tide. Rhode Island's second largest city, Warwick, shares its name with Warwick, Pennsylvania, and in Pennsylvania is Centralia, where the ground has been on fire since 1962 due to a coal mine fire, and it's expected to burn for over 200 years. Pennsylvania borders Minnesota. Well, not really, but Pennsylvania Avenue does intersect Minnesota Avenue in DC, and Minnesota is home to the northernmost point in the lower 48. You see, most of the US-Canada border is defined by the 49th parallel, but a surveying error led to this. The couple hundred residents of this area, called the Northwest Angle, are completely cut off from the US and need to pass into Canada, then back into the United States to go to school. Also in northern Minnesota is
That is so
Virginia, the
difficult.
town, but Virginia, the state, is massive. So massive that Ewing, Virginia is closer to 8 other state capitals than to its own state capital, Richmond. Alexandria, Virginia is actually closer to Toronto, Canada than it is to Ewing, Virginia. Virginia also happens to go farther west than West Virginia. Virginia is also home to this place.
This video has a lot to show to us, like seriously a lot of new different amazing facts, interesting facts about every state of the USA. Every state has something to say. Like the first one is like that was the first state to give the mail through boat or through road. So that is a different thing, and that one state has just a population of 1 person, and that 1 person is a mayor itself. Like, and that thing when Mississippi River started flowing backwards, I don't know how is it possible. Like, I think, is it even possible if we see it through the eyes of science? But I don't know. And then it literally flowed backward for 24 hours, and it can cause a lot of damage if something happens like this to a city or to a state. So there was a really lot of different things to see and to know about USA.
Yes, actually the thing was, and the states names are very very simple, like North Carolina, South Carolina. Like we don't find that in India. In India, all the names are very different. Like, there is something called Pradesh. Like say there is Uttar Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. So we have something like Pradesh is called a state. Like in Hindi, a state is called Pradesh. So like there is Uttar and Andhra, and like we have named the state according to the other location. Like if they're in North, so North state. It's like kind of like North Carolina and South Carolina only. And in the video, he showed that there were many cities that were very very far away from their like state's capital, and they were very, very close to the other state's capital. And like they were very very like very weird borders were made. Like in many places, like this state to this state you have to go to from your own state. If you have to travel from your own state, then also you have to travel to a different state, and then you have to go. But the thing was, the most strangest thing was when you have to go, when a person from the USA wants to go to his own country only, then also he has to visit from Canada, via Canada. So that would be very very difficult. Like he has to show visa and all those things. Is that the case, or are they allowed to go freely? Because I think so they are very much friendly nations, so there should not be much problem into this. But there was there was a lot of things to know. Like that part was very interesting, where they showed that there is one place in USA where you can do a murder and you can get away from that. So that I will not travel with anyone in that place, because like if I get killed,
Obviously.
that person is free, he will not be charged with anything. That is very very interesting. Like I can travel with someone and I can do that if he does not know about it. So that
Yeah.
And have you guys
Like if you want to kill someone, you can go there with him.
yeah, and have you guys also, some of you have you tried it, and have you heard some like killings happening in that place? Do let us know in the comment section below. So how did you guys find this video? Let us know that also in the comment section below. So do like, share, and
Subscribe to the channel. Bye.
bye.